Hi, my dear students. I hope you are doing good at your home. Today, I am going to tell you a story, The Magic Mirror. Do you like magic? How many among you know how to play the magic? Then, anyway, let's back the story. Shall I continue? Okay, listen. On a rainy afternoon, having nothing to do, Ammu and her brother Arun were bored. So they sat looking out at the rain. To pass time, they decided to explore the attic of their home. The attic was dark and dusty. They came across a mirror which was surprisingly clean and shiny. While they looked at their reflection in it, the old grandfather clock in the attic struck 5. One day, on a rainy afternoon, Ammu and her brother Arun were looking out the rain. You know, it was heavy rain. It was heavy raining out. So that day, they had nothing to do. So you know, we might have some situations in our life. So what will be our condition? Definitely we know that to pass the time or to avoid the boring situation, we just do what we want. So like this, they just decided to explore the attic. You know, what do you mean the attic? Then attic means is a storage, then constructed directly below the roof of a house. Then you know, generally it used to keep the old things. Then have you ever seen the attic anywhere? Probably I think no. Then because we can't see the attic in the new houses, then we can see the attic in the old house also. I think you have got an idea about what the attic. Okay, shall I continue? Then let's back the story. Then to pass the time, to avoid the boring situation, Ammu and Arun just decided to explore the attic. Then they just entered in attic. Then you know, the attic was full of dark and dusty. Then however, they just began to search the attic. While they were searching the old things in attic, they saw a surprisingly shine and clean mirror. They just took at it and they began to look at their reflections. You know, while they were looking at the reflections images at the mirror, they just heard that the old grandfather's clock just struck at 5. That's weird, Ammu said. I thought the clock was junk. They felt the mirror was calling them. Arun stretched his hand towards the mirror. His hand went right through the mirror, as if it were water. He withdrew his hand hastily. They looked at each other in amazement. Shall we step into the mirror? Arun asked. Ammu nodded. 1, 2, 3. They stepped into the mirror. When they heard the sound from the old grandfather's clock, they just feared. You know, because at first time they had seen the clock, but they just thought that it was old things. Then after that, again Ammu and Arun began to look at their reflections on the mirror. Then you know, that time they felt that the mirror was calling them. Then that time with the great excitement, Arun just stretched his hand into the mirror. But Arun just pulled back his hand from the mirror, you know, because of the fear. Then with the great amazement, Ammu and Arun looked at each other. Then Arun just asked Ammu, "Hey Ammu, let's enter the mirror. Are you ready?" Then Ammu just shook his head to expressing his willingness. Then they just began to count 1, 2, 3. They just entered their legs into the mirror. So let's check what happened next. Suddenly they found themselves in a forest. It was quite dark. The leaves of the trees overhead blocked the sunlight. It is just like in a books where something magical happens, said Arun. It's so exciting. Oh my god, now Ammu and Arun reached in the forest through the magical mirror, but the forest was full of dark. You know, the leaves from the trees had blocked the sunlight. That's because they could not see anything in the forest. But you know, they just feel that something happened in magical. Then actually we know that we actually, you know, we have read such moments or such incidents in our books. Like this, the Ammu and Arun just felt something happened magical. They found their way out of the forest into the field of blue and red flowers. Butterflies were flitting from flower to flower. The fields were lit by the evening sun. Standing in the field was a white horse with a silver wing. Wow, it's a Pegasus, the winged horse, exclaimed Ammu. They walked toward it and Pegasus raised its head. Who are you? Asked Pegasus. Arun answered shyly. I am Arun and this is Ammu. Pegasus looked at them curiously. Where did you come from? Pegasus asked. We came through a magic mirror, said Ammu. Well, that would have been exciting, said Pegasus. It will be soon dark. I had better to go home, said Pegasus. Can we come too? Asked the children. Of course, climb onto my back, Pegasus said. They scrambled onto the Pegasus' back. They soared through the air and finally landed on soft, warm grass under a big tree. After some time, they found a new way from the forest. You know, it was to the field. The field was full of blue and red flowers. Then they could see also some butterflies. You know, the butterflies were moving silently from flower to flower. Then while they were watching the sceneries from the field, suddenly they saw a white horse Pegasus. You know what's a Pegasus? A winged horse. Then with a great excitement, Ammu and Arun just walked toward the Pegasus. When they reached near the Pegasus, Pegasus just raised his head, then asked, Hey, who are you? Then they just replied that they were Ammu and Arun. Again Pegasus asked to them that, then where do you come from? Then they just replied, they came there through the magical mirror. Then after some time, the Pegasus said them that, hey my dear friends, it is going to be dark here, so I am going to leave now. Then, you know, that time Ammu and Arun just became sad. Then they just asked the Pegasus, oh my dear Pegasus, then shall we come with you? Then Pegasus answered, why not, you can come with me, then just climb on my back. Then suddenly the Ammu and Arun just climbed mound on the back of the Pegasus and they just traveled through the air. Then what a wonderful journey. Then after some times they just landed with them in the soft warm grass under the big tree. They then flew through a forest, a field and over a hill to a cottage. A man in blue robe opened the door and asked them to follow him in. They followed him into a room where they saw a mirror. It looked exactly like the mirror in the attic. Step into the mirror and you will be home, said Pegasus. The children thanked Pegasus. They stepped into the mirror and found themselves back in the attic. Again Pegasus flew with them through the field and through a forest and over a hill and finally reached in a small hut. You know, they could see a man waiting them in a blue shirt. The man just opened the door and asked to follow him. Then they just obeyed the man. Then Pegasus, Ammu, Arun just followed the man and finally they reached in a room. You know, in that room they saw a mirror. It was exactly as the mirror in their attic. Then Pegasus said them, hey Ammu and Arun, just step into the mirror, you can back at your home. And then they just do what the Pegasus said. Then they just step into the mirror. Then they just back in the attic. What a surprise. It was still raining. Arun looked at Ammu and said, That was the most exciting adventure we have ever had. Yes, really, Ammu said. They heard their mother calling them. They got down from the attic and walked into the kitchen. Just in the time for dinner, they told their mother about their adventure, but she did not believe it. When they went to bed, they dreamed of going through the mirror and having more exciting adventures. When they reached back at attic, it was still heavy raining. Then Ammu and Arun looked each other and talked about their great adventure which they just experienced. Then that time their mom just called. Then they just stepped down from the attic and walked toward the kitchen. It was a dinner time. Then while they were having the dinner, they told the adventure story in their mom. Their mom didn't believe that. Then after having the dinner, they went to their bed. Then while they were lying on the bed, they just dreamed another adventurous journey through the magical mirror. This is our story, The Magical Mirror. I think you liked it very much. So read the story one or more time at your home. So I am going to wind up the class here today. So let's see another episode. Then have a nice day. Bye.